Cut it. No, I'm joking.
Included.
Yeah. I like to self-filter myself on podcasts. I don't say anything that I would want to be cut afterwards, you know what I mean? So, I try not to.
I don't exaggerate if I say that your community and your events changed my life.
Should I take this big risk? Is this a big risk? Is it out too far outside my comfort zone? Should I really just go for it?
I would actually go as far as say that is the cure to everything that I feared about moving abroad.
In the UK, people live for the weekend, whereas in Spain, I feel like people kind of live for every day. Like every day you can take some enjoyment from, and that's what I love about living in Spain.
Being in your community, being around a lot of people that admire you and actually look up to you. What is something you're insecure about?
Guys, is there a better place to record a podcast? Check out this. Give us a wave. Wave.
Let's fucking go!
The headline for today's episode of 2 years from now is moving from UK to Spain, but honestly it's so much more than that. What you're going to watch today is the story of a guy who lived the classic hustle, grinding life in London, but became sick of this 9-to-5 lifestyle and followed his own pursuit in life, moved to Spain, began content creation, and at some point gained so much traction with content creation that he could make a business out of it. If you're living in Madrid, he might not even need an introduction. Today's guest is Tom Hopcroft, I hope I said that right, Tom. Founder of Guiris de Mierda, community builder, and just professional guiri, as he calls himself, a man who really gets people together, a man who's the most inspiring person I met since I moved to Spain. What Tom does is that he makes content about the life in Spain, and I think it's really interesting for you if you are like either back home dreaming about moving to the south and you want to like have a sense of what that life is like, or if you are having a bit of an entrepreneurial mind, like you like to go your own way, you like to do your own thing, you like to be your own boss. It's also super interesting for you if you're beginning out with content creation. Tom shared his 3 principles he used to grow his Instagram with 35,000 followers in 8 months. I couldn't even say that. 35,000 followers. This episode is one I'm really proud of. I had a really good time making it. And if you enjoy watching it, then hit the like and subscribe button, por favor.
Tom, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, and it's a pleasure that, to be honest, I've been looking a lot forward to. I remember the first video that I saw from you, or at least the first one I remember.
Okay. I'm always interested to know this.
Where I actually discovered you, and it was a story I reposted, and back at that time we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess what it was about?
I know my biggest videos, so I think I'll know. I think I'll get it. Well, maybe let's make it more interesting. If you tell me time frame wise, I think I'll be able to get it in one. Like, when was it that you reposted this story?
Okay, I would say in October last year.
October last year. Okay, so that takes out a lot of the big ones. I think it was probably the one to do with time versus money in Spain.
Time versus... Wow! Good job!
Was that it?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's honestly, I got most of my followers from that video.
Okay.
It got reposted a fuckload of times.
Okay.
So like a lot of people did it. It's like, yeah.
You just fucked up my whole script. I was like, I will give you a hint. I was like, I would rather be making 30k a year living in Spain than 100k living in UK.
Bro,
or
trust
the
me,
USA.
that video has done a lot for my Instagram. I grew from that one video. I've got like around 50,000 followers now.
Okay.
That one video, last time I checked, grew me like 16,000 followers.
Really?
So like loads of people know me from that. Like the majority, as in like if people ask me this kind of question, or like if they say, oh, the first video, it's pretty much that one. But to be fair, that was one of my first ever big videos. That got like stories in the news about it and that sort of stuff, and yeah, after that I've had a few of those big videos, but I think maybe even not quite as big as that one.
Okay. Do you know how many likes it has? Last night.
Well, you checked already?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Okay, let me guess. We'll see how vain I am now going back to my old videos. I don't know. I know it has around 4 million views on Instagram. So
4 million.
I think around 4 million, I think. And so likes, I reckon it has about 20 or 30,000 likes. Am I close?
222,000 likes.
Wow, that's crazy. That's like
crazy.
10 times what I thought.
Living in Spain for over 2,374 days, there's one thing that I've noticed. In Spain, yes, you get paid less, but that really doesn't have as much effect on your quality of life as you'd think. In fact, I'd go as far to say that I'd rather be making 30k a year living in Spain than earning 100k living in the UK or the USA, for example. And it's for a couple of reasons, really. The first being that there's so much to do here in Spain that can be enjoyed for free. Cities are planned with people in mind, and so people are out living in the streets, on benches or in plazas and parks.
You mentioned why you prefer Spain over UK over US, and you say you would rather make 30k a year. And why is that?
So a part of the answer for this comes down to, I'm going to break the illusion a little bit. And when I'm writing a script, oftentimes I try and write something that's true to me, but then I will also you have to try and simplify the idea as well, right? So 30k in Spain, if I live in Marbella, I live in Madrid, or live in the Basque Country, it's going to get me it's going to get me further or less far, right? So it's going to be either a decent amount of money to live on or not. Same in the States. If I live in New York versus, I don't know, give me an example. Like if I live in New York versus like one of the flyover states where it's cheaper to live, obviously 100k in some places is worth more, and 100k in other places is worth less. But I guess I'm just kind of giving the general sentiment. What I'm trying to get at is the general sentiment of, in Spain, you can earn less and still the quality of life that you'll have is very, very good. In terms of, from my experience, some of the best things that I like to do are free, you know? Like the weather in Spain comes for free. And is there good weather in the US? In some states, yes. In some states, no. But like it comes into everything when it comes to driving everywhere, for example, in the US. And it's the same thing as well. It's like, okay, I get not everywhere you have to drive in the US, but generally you have to drive in the US. Generally, the healthcare is fucked. If you want to, for example, having a heart attack could literally bankrupt you in the US, which is just a crazy concept, you know. In Spain, like you're not gonna, that won't happen basically. Like your medical bills alone in the US could ruin you. So I'm just trying to get at the general sentiment that the quality of life here is good, and not the quality of life in the stereotypical way of like siesta, fiesta, because that's done and a bit overdone. And I get it, like, yeah, people get that. I think at this point people get that's not really the reality of Spain. Well, I guess for some people it might be, but that's not the real reality of Spain, because yes, people work hard here in Spain as well. People have the 9-5 as well. But I think that's just a long way of answering your question. That the general quality of life is cheaper here, because a lot of the things are free. You can't buy them. You know what I mean? A lot of the things. Sorry, let me rephrase that. A lot of the best things in life in Spain are for free. So it's like the weather. It's like the terrazas. Yes. It's like the going for a run down the Rio. It's just the social side of things, and maybe the interactions you have on the street and the general feeling of a place. Whereas in the States, when I've been there, it has a lot of good things about it as well. But let's face it, your money doesn't go as far, and you're in the rat race a little bit more over there. Over here, not so much.
I'm so impressed that you know which video it was, and I'm so impressed that you answer almost exact same as you do in the video. Of course, I wrote it down. Much more to do in Spain. People out living their life. Yeah. And more hours in the day. Yeah. Let's take the third one again. That's it. Yeah. You said that a couple of times. More hours in the day. What does it mean, and why do you feel like that?
So, yeah, this is a good question. Actually, when I compare it to the US, obviously I've never lived in the US, so I've lived in the UK, I'm from the UK. I compare it to the US because I'm going to reach a wider audience by comparing it to the US, you know what I mean? But Americans are going to comment and be like, so true, or this guy has no idea what he's talking about. I'm really trying to reach a wider audience with that exact comment. So when I'm comparing it to the UK, for example, when I lived in London, I would get up in the morning, I'd get on my clothes, I'd get the metro, then I'd get the overground and the underground, or whatever it is. I'd get the overground first, which is like the train line system, and then I'd get the underground, which is like the metro. Then I'd arrive at work, I'd work all day, and I'd come home. By the time I was home, it was often dark. Obviously in summer it's not, but like it was often dark. And yeah, I don't know. I just felt like I didn't have any ganas to do anything. You know what I mean? I didn't really want to do anything afterwards.
Ganas, in Spanish, it means like goals, achievements.
Ganas is like I didn't have. If you no tengo ganas, it's like I couldn't be bothered to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't want to do anything afterwards because I felt like it was an effort to get up and go somewhere else again and go and find my friends. Whereas in Spain, in my experience, it's a simple case of just leaving the house, walking 10 minutes, and you can be on like a terraza or something, having beers with your boys, which is pretty invaluable. That's what I value. And then even stuff like I do jiu-jitsu as well. I can go to jiu-jitsu, I can come back, and maybe even I've got enough time for one beer after that as well. It just feels like the days last longer, and I think it's not because of the early or the later sunsets. It's because of the general attitude towards life here.
Beautiful. Talking about all the pros and cons living in Spain, I would like to turn it around because you promote a lot live in Spain on your Instagram.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what do you miss from the UK?
What do I miss from the UK? It's funny because, I mean, I'm probably going to have to give you some of the stereotypical answers, like, of course, I miss my family and friends. Of course, like, there's some things like my little sister, for example, she's 10 years younger than me, but we have like a great relationship. So I miss spending time with those people. But honestly, I don't miss that much. This is why for me, Spain has been such a no-brainer. I mean, my family and friends is the main thing, but I love my life here. I've been here for 7 years now, so I've kind of formed my adult life, my real adult life here in Madrid. So I think that, I don't know, I just what do I miss about the UK? Stupid things like the UK television. It's stuff that makes you feel comfortable at home. You know what I mean? I love like our TV channels. I love some of the crappy shows that we watch. I love like my nan. She's a big fan of like all the soaps or like the soap operas that we have in the UK, EastEnders, Coronation Street, that kind of stuff. But I mean, fish and chips, this is like a bit of a stereotype, but I miss that. You don't get good fish and chips here. Maybe in the south of Spain you do, but you don't get it here in Madrid. So there's stuff like that I miss, but that doesn't really have anything to do, like, it doesn't, in terms of the comparison, like, I've got so much more and so much more of a robust and healthy and good quality life here in Spain, and then I've built my life here in Spain, you know what I mean? It's like I've started activities, I've started my business here in Spain, I've got like all my friend groups here in Spain, even more of a network now. I do social media, you know, and it's like events and all that sort of stuff, so everything I've built is here in Spain, whereas in the UK it's nice to go for a visit, nice to get those little tasters of the home life. But really, yeah, I'm not missing that much about the UK, to be honest. I really don't miss that much about the UK.
There's one thing about Denmark in particular that I miss.
Yeah.
And I have the assumption that you would say the same.
Okay.
Can you guess what that is?
Something about Denmark.
Or yeah, for your case about the UK, and for my case about Denmark.
Is it like the pubs? Do you have like pub style things? Because I miss the pubs as well. Yeah.
And the thing that I miss often happens in pubs.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not drinking beers. It can be included.
Pool?
No,
darts?
About the conversations? Fair enough. I really, really miss the humor.
The humor?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, British humor.
And I think I just...
Yeah.
I will always be on another level, humor-wise.
Yeah.
In my own language, in my native language.
Of course.
And whenever I get back to Denmark, I really have this... We are so funny. Oh my god! And I'm way quicker, and I have obviously a broader vocabulary for joking in Danish. And I mean, one thing is doing it in Spanish. I'm not on that level Spanish-wise.
Yeah.
But another thing is joking in English.
Yeah.
I still have fun in English.
Yeah.
But it's just way funnier in Danish. But it's not only related to language. It's also related to the culture, I believe.
Fair enough. I think, I don't have that. I don't miss the English humour so much because I've got so many English friends here. Like, some of my best friends are English guys here. So I really have a healthy dose of English humour. And also, you hit the nail on the head. I'm speaking my native language all the time. So I can tell a joke that I think is funny. And even if it doesn't land with somebody else, I've still got that joke in. You know what I mean? In my mind, I'm still like, that's funny.
Yeah.
So, I can see.
How did you end up in Spain?
So, long story short, I went to University of Leeds, and while I was in the University of Leeds, I decided that I wanted to do this big trip around the world. I wanted to go to Australia. So, I was brave enough to make that decision, although actually it's something that a lot of people do in the UK, but I wasn't brave enough to do it alone. So I spoke to one of my best friends. I was like, his name's Danny. I was like, Danny, we've got to do this Australia trip together. So he's like, okay, but the only thing is I've got an architecture course, so I'm going to be at university for an extra year compared to you. So you got to kill some time for the year. I was like, okay, so this is perfect. I had no money at university. It gave me time to get a job in a local bar. I was making cocktails and stuff. And it would give me the year to save money until he had finished university, and then we'd go together, right? We'd go to Australia, we'd go and explore the other side of the world together. An unexpected turn of events happens one night. I'm making cocktails, I'm like in this bar, having a good time behind the bar. Like it's a Friday night, busy night, and like this girl walks in, who I later learn is a Spanish girl. And I find out that she works in the bar next door. And because I've seen some of her colleagues before, that after they finish up their shift in this not a bar, in a Brazilian restaurant, they would come in and have a final drink of the night. And the problem was, all the guys would come and order the drinks, and all the girls would go and sit down. So being the barman, you want people to come to the bar. You want the girls to come to the bar because you want to speak to the girls. You know what I mean? You want to. If you're interested in one, especially, you want to have the chance to try and introduce yourself. Let's say. So she never came but I'd see her all the time, and I never got chance. She showed no interest in me at all. I never got the chance to even make eye contact with her and try and like bring her over. Well, we got a little wasp. This is the dangers of doing it outside. It's fine. I'm not allergic. And so anyway, fast forward a couple of months, I'm still working in this bar, and there's a street in Leeds where everybody goes to. It's like the big party street, all English music, tiny little bars. You just go and bar hop in between these tiny little bars. Like everyone's rammed in, sweaty, just really good times. And one night I see her in there, and I'm like, oh shit, like that's her. And I'm with these two Irish guys, and these two Irish guys are like too good looking, like two of the best looking guys that probably in the city at the time. I was like, these guys are too good looking. They're taller than me as well. Like, I'm not small, but they're taller than me. They're better looking than me. And like, they're Irish. They're pretty funny. They've got the Irish humour, you know what I mean? So I'm like to them, guys, should we go for I can't approach this girl with these two guys because I know it's game over for me if that happens. So I'm like, guys, should we go for a cigarette? They're like, yeah. So we walk outside. And as we're all going outside, they took a left, I took a right. So like, I go over to the girl, they go outside to have a cigarette, start speaking to this girl. And long story short, she's the Spanish girl. I know I said I'd keep the story short, but this is kind of like
keep going. We're building momentum.
This is how the story went. So I ended up speaking to her. We pretty quickly had a couple of dates, and like I was like first Spanish girl I'd ever dated, first international girl really that I'd ever dated. I was completely head over heels in love with her, but there's this impending doom of like me going away to Australia. I was like, God, I think that it contributed to the kind of like love I was feeling, because I knew that we were going to leave each other, which was sad, obviously. I was like, oh fuck. So before I left, she was like, why don't you come to Madrid for a weekend, and you can come and just see Madrid, and at least that could be a nice farewell for us. So we do that. I come over, we do Parque de Atracciones, we go and see the Palacio, which is funny because I live right next door to the palace now, and we do all the stuff that like a Madrid tourist would do, you know what I mean, but shown by a Madrid local. So we have an amazing farewell. I go to Australia, but we keep in touch while I'm over there. And like as I'm in Australia, obviously I'm seeing other girls. I'm guessing she's seeing other guys and all that sort of stuff. But we're phoning quite frequently, which is crazy in Australia, because it's like I'm drunk at the end of the night. It's first thing for her in the morning, or vice versa. She's been out partying, or she's phoning me on the way home, and we're building this relationship. Not together, but we're like getting to know each other more and more and more. And I think there was something romantic about this girl that I couldn't quite have, and she was on the other side of the world, and star-crossed lovers, Romeo and Juliet and all that sort of stuff. So in the end, towards the end of my visa in Australia, I said to her, look, why don't you come to Australia for like 2 weeks, and just if you want to come. She's always kept telling me, oh, I'd love to come to Australia, it sounds like a paradise. And I was like, you're gonna love it. I was trying to get her over, obviously. And she comes for 2 weeks, and we do the Great Barrier Reef, we do all this kind of stuff. And that was when like I fully fell for her. She leaves, and I felt like we got super close. I felt like she fell for me as well in that time. Yeah. She leaves, and from the day she leaves, I start feeling ourselves distancing again, and like we're distancing, and I was like, okay, I can't lose this girl. Yeah. So I only had a month left on my visa anyway, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to book my flights back. So I said to her, well, she said something to me along the lines of, when your visa's up, why don't you come to Spain and just spend a couple of months and see how you like the life?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what am I going to do? What else am I going to go back to England? It's either Spain, sunny. At the time, I just didn't really know much about Spain apart from beaches and stuff. I was a little bit ignorant to the life in Spain. I was like, sunny Spain or shitty England, and I thought, and sunny Spain with Esther. Like, even if it doesn't work out with the girl, at least I can say that I've spent a couple of months in Spain, right? And it sounds pretty exotic, sounds pretty fun. And that was it. I came back to London for one day, saw the family, and then went to Madrid literally the next day. I spent, after being in Australia for 1 year, I just went boom back to London for a day, and then straight over to Spain, to Madrid, and I've pretty much been here ever since.
Okay, and that's 7 years ago?
That was 7 years ago.
7 years ago, okay.
Yeah.
So...
Ish. Maybe even 8 now. Fuck.
Okay, so if I should... could I put it like there was... If we don't talk about the relationship, but if we talk about you, there was Tom living in London, being a sales guy? Working in sales now?
No. So this was a hiatus in the middle of my time in... So that was 8 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I left for a short period and went back to England for a job opportunity.
Okay.
It didn't work out, so I came back.
Okay, so Tom living in London, Tom moving to Madrid,
Yeah.
having a life here,
Yeah.
working as... in the beginning you were... help me.
In Spain.
Yeah.
Teaching monitor de inglés. I was
Yes.
doing lots of teaching style roles.
Yes.
And then I worked in sales, customer experience.
Uh-huh.
I worked in sales. I've had lots of jobs in Spain.
And then there is Tom today, who's still in Madrid and now also a content creator,
Yep.
entrepreneur. Is there like one thing you would tell the Tom back then in London that you know about Tom today?
Something that I would tell... I mean, yeah, there's probably a lot of advice that I would tell the me back then, but it's probably advice that I should still follow now. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, if you want to do something, or if you've got an inkling that you'd be good at something, or if you think that, yeah, I can see that these guys are doing that, why can't I do that? And you should just fucking go for it. So that's what I tell myself, just fucking go for it. I spent a lot of time worried about like what people would think. I spent a lot of time kind of holding back and kind of being on the train tracks of like regular job, all that sort of stuff, and never taking that leap of faith into the unknown, and taking that real, I don't know, that step, and just believing in myself, backing myself, and being like, look, even if it doesn't work out the way I want it to, I'll figure out a way. And I've got better at that now. So this is what I tell my old self. And even now, applying that same advice to today, I've got better at believing in myself now. When we do an event, I've got better at being like, I'll figure it out. If something goes wrong, I'll figure it out. I've got more faith that I'll figure it out. And generally, I do. But yeah, still, that's something that I think holds all of us back. It's that kind of thing of like, should I take this big risk? Is this a big risk? Is it out too far outside my comfort zone? Should I really just go for it? And still now, I have to make the active decision to be like, yes, this is something. It's like, I think I was telling somebody the other day, I'm opening myself at the moment for a big risk. I want to take a big risk. I don't know what it's going to be, but I need to actively remind myself that, you know what I mean? I feel like by telling people, and I'm telling everybody that I'm having these types of conversations when we're talking more, maybe a little bit more philosophically, or about our life and stuff like that, or about our goals, I'm telling everybody, I want to take a big risk. With the business, I want to take a big risk with what I'm doing, because at the moment, everything is growing and everything's going good, but I think to get to that next step, I need to be bold, you know what I mean? I can't keep doing the same thing. Not that I really am. Like, the business is growing month over month and everything's going really well on that regard. But like, I want to talk like a 10x risk. You know what I mean? I want to like take a crazy risk, and maybe it goes shit. If it goes shit, then we'll figure it out. Okay. You know.
Interesting. We'll get back to that. I want to talk more about that risk. But at first, I want to talk about just your life in London, and then we get to that part. What was your life in London before you moved here? What was it looking like?
So life in London was the classic rat race. I'd moved to London on the promise of a job that was, I don't know. I was at a company. That just had loads of investment. So loads of investment comes in. They fire all the old C-suite, and they bring in loads of guys from McKinsey, from Uber, ex-Uber. They all had ex-Uber in their fucking LinkedIn, like they were like the Men in Black or something. And they all come in. They start changing shit. So I moved to London on a promise that like this was going to be a great job opportunity. When we get there, I mean, life is what you make of it, right? And so I'm not saying it wasn't a great opportunity, but I just realised that, okay, this life is not for me. It was like the startup, grind. Everything's for the company. We're doing like 8 till 8 or 8 till 10.
You worked in a startup?
Yeah, it was a startup. It was a Madrid-based startup, but I moved over to London with the company to help open the London office. And I don't know, for me, it was just that kind of like toxic environment of like shitty boss who was a super intelligent guy, had no people skills, and the whole team hated him. And every couple of months there was like every so often there was a revolt with the team. The team would like kind of like rise up against this guy, and it's like there was more team drama than there was actual company progress. And so my life was just it was shitty, to be honest. I had a decent place, but I was waking up in the dark. I was going onto the overground. It was wet. I was getting shoved in next to people. I remember thinking one day I was on the overground, and like it gets to the point where you can't pack any more people into these like cars, you know. So I'm like in there. I can smell this guy next to me. He just smells like a wet dog. I don't know, his dog had like lay on his coat the night before, and he'd got rained on in the morning. And I was just like, fuck me, like this is not living. You know what I mean? Like this is not living. Just to live, to get on this little tin can, go to work, hate my job all day. I like my co-workers, and I've still got some of my best friends today from that job. So it wasn't all bad. And we had a fun time between the team, but the job was just a toxic place, really, really toxic place. And I thought, this is not living. Every Sunday, just dreading the next day, just dreading what was happening the following day, like thinking, oh fuck, I've got so much shit to do. Living for the weekend, but couldn't even enjoy the weekend because it was like, because I couldn't really even see my friends. I don't know, London, the culture's a little bit different. You have to tell your friends 3 weeks in advance. Everyone's got plans, and I was used to the Madrid life. I was used to just being like, let's go and get a caña, let's go to the bar. So yeah, for me it wasn't good, and I feel like I've never been depressed in my life, but I feel like I was the closest that I've been to being depressed. I was feeling anxiety from work. I didn't know what I could do. I remember one day like just going onto LinkedIn and applying for jobs that had like literally nothing to do with my skill set, which was sales at the time, just because I was so lost. And I was like, I'll take anything. I'll be an admin. I'll do anything just to not be in sales or just to do something else at a different company. And I didn't get any of the jobs, so it just felt like it wasn't rock bottom, but it just didn't feel good, basically. And that was in a short summary, that was my life in London.
Back then, what was your imagination of a life in Spain? I mean, you already lived in Spain and then you moved back. Yeah. But what was you had a clue about it? Maybe the question relates better to before you actually moved to Madrid. Okay. What was your imagination of a life in Spain back then? So I was super ignorant. Like, I don't know if you felt the same, but I had no idea when it comes to life in Spain and that sort of stuff. A lot of English people, and maybe people from all over the world, I don't really know, they kind of think of Spain and they do think of the stereotypes: siesta, fiesta, paella, you know, like they think, bad though. Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad stereotypes, but I mean, I guess it's not the actual reality of the life here. And I thought that Spain was all very arid and dry, and I thought Spain was only the beach basically, and that's all Spain had to it. Obviously that's changed a lot now. I live in the middle of Spain, live in Madrid, but like I go to Barcelona and I see like, wow, this is a completely different city to Madrid in so many ways. I go over to Alicante and it's like, wow, this is more of what I expect from the traditional Spain. You go down to Marbella and the culture's a little bit different, and they've got like chiringuitos, and they've got like whatever they're called, the little fish that you eat, and you go to Extremadura and it's like rolling hills, more grassy. Or you go the north in Bilbao, you walk the Camino de Santiago, like how we met. You see Galicia, and Galicia is just like Wales, or just like England in a lot of ways. And there's so much variety in this in this country that it's incredible. But before, it was just, I kind of had that perception that a lot of people have, which is, okay, Spain is good for the beach. Yeah. I remember after moving to Barcelona and going back to Copenhagen to catch up and see people and have a good time.
Yeah.
I remember one of my friends, when I said goodbye to her, she said, "Oh, and enjoy all the sangria," and in that moment I realized, oh, she thinks my everyday life is going out and drinking sangria. I was like, I mean, I go to work here and I'm ambitious. So like I go to work and I have numbers to follow, and then occasionally I go out to have a good time and drink sangria. So, it's very rare I drink sangria, by the way.
Yeah,
But
Tinto de Verano is what if you want your sangria fix and you're in Madrid, you're a local, then you'll have Tinto de Verano, no?
Yeah, it's just then I realized, okay, that's what you think I do every day.
Yeah,
And that's,
It's funny.
So you already answered the question, but you'll have it anyway. Did it match your expectations?
So yeah, no, obviously. So I mean, even to not repeat what I just said, even the city life of Madrid. When I first arrived in Madrid, I lived in Aluche, which is a small. It's like the last stop on one of the southern lines on the metro. And Aluche was it's quite Latino, for example. And I didn't really know there was that much difference at the time between Spanish culture and Latino culture. But you end up realizing that, and even obviously like in between the different Latino countries and stuff and all the Latam countries. There's different cultures between all that, and in terms of the food, it's different if you're eating Peruvian food or if you're eating Venezuelan food. You're going to be eating different cuisines, and there's loads of variety there too. So I moved to Aluche, and it was more of a Latino area, and so that was my first kind of impression of Spain. And there was no pool in my apartment, there was nowhere to sunbathe. You know what I mean? It was kind of more this relatively low income housing. Little bars, very kind of like not suburbs but neighborhood vibes. Like it was more of like a barrio, as they say over here, whereas not what I expected at all. And then I would get the bus and I'd come into the city centre, and it would kind of blow me away a little bit, because I was thinking like, wow, this city is alive, you know. Like on the weekends I'd come here and it felt like there was so much going on, and like I'd see the girls out and stuff, and all the girls were like super beautiful for me, because like it's something that I wasn't used to at all. And I think everybody in life likes things that are a little bit different. And I was like, wow, it's just surrounded by. I moved here in summer as well, so everyone's in full summer mode. Madrid comes alive. People stay out until like 8 a.m. And so yeah, it didn't really match my expectations, because I only had that experience of the sleepy, beachy Spain of when you do an all-inclusive holiday with your family, and it's all the food's included, all the drinks are included. You stay in the hotel 80% of the time. I saw like the Spain that was alive. I feel which is pretty cool.
So just to get this right, what is like, because what I hear you say is that the life in Spain doesn't include that vacation life every day, obviously, but there is still some degree to it, or some culture that's different from, can I say, the hustle culture you come from in London? Can I say that?
Yeah.
So what is that? What is it you think that people living in London are missing out on?
I think, to try and put it as simply as possible, in London or in England,
UK in general.
In England, people, and this, I'm making generalizations here, but I'm just trying to simplify it. In London, no. In the UK, people live for the weekend, whereas in Spain, I feel like people kind of live for every day. Like every day you can take some enjoyment from, and that's what I love about living in Spain.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Lovely answer. Tom, Guiris de Mierda.
The brand.
Everybody has felt like a guiri at some point in life.
Yes.
When I say that, what do you say then?
What do I say? Everybody's felt like a guiri at some point in their life. I mean, that's our what do you say? That's our catchphrase. That's our slogan. Yeah, that's our slogan, I guess, for the brand, for the company, for the business. I think I don't know. I think it's great because it really resonates with people. You know, I think if you can kind of summarize what a lot of people feel, and you can tell them in like one sentence like that, a feeling that maybe they didn't even know they felt until they heard that sentence, then that's a beautiful thing, and people start to connect to that. And if you can show people that with events, or you can show people that with like videos that I create and stuff, then that's that it can turn into a pretty powerful thing. And yeah, I think that it's true as well. Like everybody has felt like a guiri at some point in their lives, and it's like it doesn't just have to mean the traditional Northern European guiri like you or I. You are probably way more of a traditional guiri than I am, with the blonde hair and the blue eyes and stuff. But I'm pretty guiri too. But yeah, I just think that it's something that anyone can resonate with. Like Spanish people can resonate with it. I've told it to, I mean, so many Spanish people have told me like it's so true. Like I left Spain for 5 years and I came back and I'm a guiri in my own city. Or I left. I'm from Bilbao in the north of Spain, or I'm from Gijón in the north of Spain, and now I moved to Madrid and I'm a guiri over here. You know what I mean? Guiri is not just the way that we interpret it. Sorry, the way that we're changing the definition of it is that a guiri is just kind of like a fish out of water, as you'd say in the UK. It's when you're not in your own environment and you're a bit out of your element, let's say. And that means that anyone can be a guiri, and we've all felt like a guiri at some point in our lives, and it's true.
I had to go to Wikipedia and look up the word again to get the exact definition.
Yeah.
And it was very simple. It said foreigners, usually from Central or North Europe.
Yeah. Dude, you ask 10 Spanish people what is a guiri, they'll all give you a different answer.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Because some people say it's anyone from Northern America, it's anyone that's like white, it's anyone that's like socks and sandals, it's anyone that burns in the sun. I've had a million answers, and some people say no, it's not, it's only English, it's like only American. But it's like everyone's got a different answer. It's not well defined, and that's why we're changing the definition a little bit. It's why we're having, there's many reasons why we're having a lot of success. I think this is one of the reasons, because guiri means something different to everybody, and some people, and it's a great word because you can use it lovingly. It's not like a slur that like we are reappropriating it and taking it back. But people they can use it as a slur, but people use it lovingly. Like if you've got me guiri from my boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, like you can say it endearingly, where you wouldn't do that with like a really negative slur, you know. So
I have to be honest on this podcast, and I have to say that Wikipedia actually said English man specifically, English or UK man, and then I went into another page to get a more broad definition, and it says Central or North Europe. You said that I might look 10% more like a guiri than you do, and I can confirm that I look like a guiri when I was walking with my ex-girlfriend in the streets of Barcelona. She was from Barcelona, and she said she could feel the difference in looks going with me and going alone.
Oh, really?
So, and when I say looks, I'm not talking about girls looking at me. I'm talking about people looking at me as a target for
really?
Like robbing me.
Yeah.
Do you say that in English? Robbing?
Yeah, to rob.
Yeah, okay. So that was the moment where there is a difference from being a guiri and not being a guiri in how you get approached. And everybody was coming with me to do high fives because they want to do a trick and
Everyone's trying to engage you in some way to see, does this guy speak Spanish? Does this guy could he be an easy target? Like if they come up to you and you're confident, they probably won't target you. But if you're maybe a bit shy, you know what I mean? They might see you as these guys are professionals. They do it all day, every day, right? So they've got ways of identifying good targets.
Literally professionals. There was this guy coming at me in Madrid, trying to give me a high five, and I already got my phone stolen in Barcelona, so I learned not to engage with them. And I got super angry, and I was with my ex-girlfriend, and she got so confused about that. I got so pissed, but I got so angry because I knew from the beginning what he was up to.
Someone tried to rob me in Barcelona as well. I was coming home from the club, 4 a.m., a little bit tipsy. A couple of years ago, I went there for a boys' trip, and everybody got the bus home, and I just went a different direction. I was on the phone, and I just didn't realise that everyone was running for a bus. So I was like, okay, I'll walk back to the hostel instead. Walking down this dark street, and some guys coming towards me. I'm also. I've got my. Is it on me?
It's away, I think.
Thank God. Cut it. No, I'm joking.
Included.
Yeah, you can leave anything in. I like to self-filter myself on podcasts. I don't say anything that I would want to be cut afterwards, you know what I mean? So, I try not to. So I'm walking down the street. This guy comes up to me. He starts dancing like, hey, hey. And I'm like, oh, he seems like a good vibes guy. I was like, hey, hey. And then as I'm doing it, he starts kicking my ankles. And I know that's a trick that people do, right? Wait, I think I'm on your cable here. It's attached to me. I don't want it. It's attached to my chancla. No, it's fine. It's all good. So he starts kicking my ankles, and I knew that's a trick they do. They kick you in your ankles so they can go in your pockets. They distract you, the harder feeling in your ankle, so they can go in your pockets. And I guess it's similar for the hand high five as well, right? Because they want to slap your hand hard and take something out your pocket at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. I knew he wanted to do that, but actually what happened when I got my phone stolen is that walking with my ex-girlfriend, date night out, having one hand here, and then there comes a scooter driving towards us, driving up close. And I take up my hands to like protect us. Yeah. And then while I'm protecting us, another scooter comes from my back and whoop, out the phone. I just run after him like, put them after. I just throw my beer at him, but I couldn't reach him. And I think also it was good that I didn't reach him. You never know what they're in. But
everyone's got one of those stories in Barcelona. I don't have one of those in Madrid though.
Yeah. Stay away from Raval. That's the note here from the podcast.
Tip number 1.
Yeah. Back to Guiris de Mierda. A community to gather guiris and locals. Correct me if I'm wrong here. You started as a clothing brand and then it developed into events.
Yeah.
And
so the origin story.
Yeah.
The origin story is that the clothing and the event started very separately. The clothing started with me and my friend used to react to Spanish things on YouTube. Spanish like song reactions. Rosalia, Daddy Yankee, not Spanish, but Spanish speaking. But I like Rosalia, some Daddy Yankee, yes, like Gasolina's good, but there's a lot of it that I don't like as well. And so we would react. We would react negatively sometimes and be like, this isn't for me, whatever. And when we'd react negatively, we'd get comments like Guiris de Mierda, putos guiris, all this kind of stuff. Like go back to your own country, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So then we had the idea we're going to get t-shirts printed with Guiris de Mierda on it.
And so at this point you were living in Spain as well.
Yeah, I was living in Spain, and this was about maybe 3.5 years ago.
Okay, gotcha.
And that was the start of Guiris de Mierda officially. But then that didn't go anywhere. The idea with him didn't go anywhere in terms of the clothing and all that sort of stuff. These wasps are really enjoying the podcast today as well.
Oh, good stuff coming. They like it.
Yeah, true. So that didn't go anywhere. I think it's fine, right?
I was just about to sit on the camera. That would have been
just the ultimate douchebag move.
Continue.
So it didn't go anywhere, and the YouTube channel kind of stopped as well. But then the YouTube channel ignited my interest in creating content. And I thought, okay, with the YouTube channel, I'm tied to my friend, and everything we're doing together. And I didn't have much creative freedom because we were doing reaction-based content, and I didn't enjoy doing reaction-based content. So I was like, okay, we're going to stop the YouTube channel, and I'm going to start making my own content. So that was the start of my content creation journey. I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, but that was the start of my personal content creation journey. So that was the start of Guiris de Mierda. Then, separately, as I was creating content, fast forward maybe a year or so, I've been creating content. I'd gathered a bit of a community here in Spain because the content that I was creating was based in Madrid and was based in Spain, and I'd often talk about things in Madrid specifically or in Spain. And so I noticed that a lot of my following were in Madrid, and people would message me saying, like, "Oh, I saw you in Madrid. I saw you on the metro, or I saw you wherever." And I thought, it could be cool to meet some of the people who are interested in my videos and expand my own network. So I started doing meetups.
And this was the videos that we started talking about, like living in Spain for 2,000 days or whatever you say.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are those videos that people were like interested in. And I thought I wanted to meet people and expand my own network. So I started doing meetups just like once a month. And I we went to the pool on one of them. We went to like a local market for one of them, and we started doing like very low key, chill plans. But soon they became too in demand, and I had to start booking places. I had to start charging for tickets because people would say they're coming and then not come, and then you've got a venue that's like half full because the tickets are free and people don't really commit. So I started charging for events, and then pretty quickly I saw that, okay, wow, this is a business right here. You know what I mean? If I start charging for tickets, I can make better events. I can quit my job, even though that kind of my job quit me in the end, but I can quit my job and I can really make something of this, and I can put everything into the social media and building the community. And at the time I wanted the clothing had started up as well. I was like, okay, if I want to be selling my own clothes, I don't particularly want to be selling other people's things. So I thought, okay, t-shirts are simple to start with, and long story short, the clothing brand was called Guiris de Mierda, and then people started calling the events Guiris de Mierda events, and I was like, I don't know if I want to mix them up. I want them to be two separate entities, and you know what, in the end I thought, why fight the wave? If people are calling it that, this is like good brand alignment. Let's mix it all in together, and maybe the events are a way of promoting the clothes. And so the clothes were still the focus. The events were just kind of going to be a way for us to maybe sell clothes at the events and stuff. But then obviously fast forward another 6 months, and maybe a year to 6 months to a year, and now we're at the point we're doing 5, sometimes even 6 or 7 like events a week. Crazy. From Run Club to live music to Camino de Santiago, how we met. We've got loads and loads of events on at the moment. It's absolutely nuts.
It's so funny how you're famous for being Tom, and you're famous for being the man behind Guiris de Mierda. I think I already told you I was on this date with a girl, and I'm like,
thanks for clarifying.
Thanks for clarifying. I need that with the pink shirt today. No. So I'm telling this girl about Tom Charlie.
Yeah.
I say, and she's like, I don't know him.
Yeah, people don't know my name. I think I'm not famous, by the way. People don't know my name.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Okay. And then
one day.
Then an hour later, she refers to Guiris de Mierda, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about before.
Yeah.
And she, yeah.
So people used to come up to me and say, hey, are you Tom, Charlie, or are you Tom? They didn't really know. Now, pretty much exclusively, are you the Guiris de Mierda guy? Or are you the Guiris guy? I'm like, that's me. So some guy came up to me yesterday, I was on the phone, I was having a serious conversation, and he's walking with his girlfriend, he's like a 45-year-old guy. He's like, hey man, I follow you. And I'm like, hey dude, what's your name? Nice to meet you. I was like, sorry, I'm on the phone. He's like, the giddy guy. I was like, the giddy guy.
Does that happen often?
Yeah, I mean, some weeks yes, some weeks no. Like, I don't know. It doesn't happen like super often, but 50% of my audience is based in Spain. 25% is in Madrid. So, and I've got 50,000 followers. So I guess do the math on that, and it's going to happen here and there, and the trajectory is only going one way. Like the account's growing, the brand's growing, the events are growing, and what's good about the events is when you offer something to somebody else, the content gives people value, it gives them entertainment, but the events give people something much deeper. Right. It gives people an opportunity to connect, to meet lovers, to meet friends, to meet like family basically in the city where they're not living. And so that's really providing value, and that's providing like a service, and people really connect with that idea more than, oh, this is an influencer that I like. They connect with the idea that, wow, if I go to these events, not even his events, Guiris de Mierda events, I could find someone special to me, not just romantically but otherwise as well. It could be I find a good connection. Like, you've met friends from my events. We became friends from my events, you know. I've had friends that have found like not relationships maybe as such, but like partners at events, flings, people that they've done business with afterwards. We have a good network that's growing, and people recognise that, and for that reason I think it's successful.
I found you in October as we started the podcast. Do you know how many followers you had when I found you?
No idea.
16,000.
No, really?
And today you have 50,000.
Damn.
50.
Damn.
That's a gain of around 35,000 since October.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. Yeah.
I didn't realize it was. I didn't realize that was the. That was the
Might
case.
be September, but I mean, Yeah, that's a journey.
Yeah, I never go back and look at that sort of stuff. I try and look forward more. So when I hear that, it makes me happy to hear for sure. But then it's that classic thing that everyone does in life. It's like, I want more, I want more, I want more. And for me, it's a challenge of, okay, be grateful for what I have, yes, but still try and keep that killer instinct of wanting more. But don't lose the journey along the way just because of the pursuit of something bigger. Like, I want to go for something bigger, but that doesn't mean that I can't stop and smell the roses and have a tinto de verano, or as your friend would say, a sangria.
Actually, that's based on what you say there. We need to change the direction here of the conversation, because now you talk about not looking so much back. And on the Camino conversations are good. I asked you, because I admire your work,
Thank you.
I asked you if you have some principles you follow in the content creation process.
Yeah.
You gave me 3 bullets. I remember them because I was there to, suck up any inspiration and advice I could get. Can you guess, or can you remember those 3 advice you gave?
I think I remember 2. I don't remember the third one. So
Okay.
I think the first one, in no particular order, I think that there was something along the lines of never saying anything that I don't truly believe in. So I tried to remain true to like so I can always back up my videos, even if sometimes, like we spoke about before, I might use certain language or name America to get more views. It's still the principles, I believe in them, like the core principles. 1. 2, I always prioritize action. I think that was what is the next step. So instead of thinking what's the plan that's 5 years out or whatever, you know what I mean, or like I need to write all this stuff down and then figure out a plan, it was just like, okay, no, actually, what can I do today? What's my biggest priority today? Or what can I do this week? What do I need to do this week? Or what is just the next step to advance?
Yes.
I think that was 2. The third one, I don't know.
Okay, really, really good. Always be truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Post and don't look back.
Okay.
Which is also what you said.
Yeah.
And then we talked about hobby versus business.
Okay.
Where you said on the third one, so when, I'll start. My interpretation of hobby versus business is hobby is optimized against being fun to do. A hobby is fun, and business is optimized towards business at the end. And it's a spectrum because, of course, you want to be in the middle. But I heard you saying that where you are right now, it leans towards business, but of course it has to be fun. Yeah. So your decision making kind of lean towards business.
Yeah. And so I would say that's even more so the case now.
Okay.
So don't get me wrong, I love, I put out a video today. We did a collaboration with Jameson for an event recently. I put out a video today and I love making that video. I had the concept with Jameson. I sold the idea to them, being like, look, let's throw a party in Madrid. It's going to be socks and sandals only. If you want to come in, you've got to be wearing socks and sandals. From that, I'm gonna bring my photographer and we're gonna make an amazing video. We're gonna build a story into it. I'm not sure what the story is gonna be yet, but it's gonna be along the lines of I invited 100 guiris to a socks and sandals only party, and then once I got all the footage, I wrote down. I went back, wrote the script, and made a video that I was proud of. You know what I mean? And so that's the enjoyable part for me, seeing through that process and kind of I love the. I kind of fall in and out of love with different parts of the process, but I'm always sometimes I'm loving the script writing, sometimes I'm loving the progression in the editing and learning something new. But yeah, I think that I think that I'm not sure. Wait, hold on. To go back to your point, I know I just kind of went off. I'm awful at this. I always go off on tangents. But
so I think it's we were talking about hobby versus business.
Yeah.
And I think it's really. If there are sitting people out there having a dream about doing content creation, I think it's a really, really good advice to first of all, always stick to the truth, because you have to you can give it extra, but it has to be rooted in something that's true. I really like that advice. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that I also believe in don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Right.
If I'm telling a story, I'll leave stuff out, or I'll sometimes you can tweak the story. You know what I mean, to kind of make the point. I've done videos where I've learned a lesson or I learned a lesson in life, and you sometimes can't tell the exact story that you want to tell. So you can tweak it a little bit as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's rooted in truth. But it's more the fact when I say that, it's like based on the opinions. I'm not going to go online and be like, I hate tortilla de patata, or like I'm not going to say stuff that I don't believe in terms of. I did a couple of videos on like, is Spain getting more dangerous? And that's a topic that turned out to be very politically charged, because it's like all the comments go straight to immigration and all this kind of stuff. And in videos like that, for example, I don't make so many of those videos anymore, but because of I just want to stay away from being like it's just toxic conversations that you start getting roped into, you know.
Yeah.
But even when making videos like that, I still try to do it from my personal experiences and what I've experienced, and try and give my personal take on it, rather than saying things like, I could say things in those types of videos. I could nudge either one side of the political spectrum or the other, but I try not to, just for the views, you know what I mean?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. About number 2, post and don't look back.
This is my favorite one, I think.
Also really something that I thought a lot about. Yeah. And now that I do this podcast, I like to think of it as everything I put out is data points. And of course, so I will look at the data, but I will not be, if something is bad, or if something doesn't get any likes, or if I one day receive a hate comment, I would see that as a data point. Interesting. Yeah. Let's move forward. And I think it's so easier said than done. And I know your what is it called? Your invoice? Is it called invoice? Your DM is inbox. Thank you. Your inbox is probably loaded. And also sometimes with very negative. I saw today you posted something like some hater, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get lots of hate. Yeah, I get lots of hate, but I get lots of love as well, so it's fine. And the hate,
do you get more?
I mean, people comment when they're angry, so I'd say I get a lot of hate for people that are angry. If I have a big video, that gets like over 50 to 100,000, and upwards, it ends up going outside of my following. If it gets pushed to my following, people generally react pretty positively to it. But if it goes outside of that, someone's going to find a reason to hate you, basically. So I probably get more positive than negative, but what you see is a lot more negative, because people that are angry comment more. But you get loads of likes, and you get the silent watchers as well. There's a lot of silent watchers out there that never share, never like, never comment. But like people that come to the events, I only know they exist because they come to the events and I see these motherfuckers and they're like, I followed you for like a year, but I never liked anything, and I've never...
They say that? Or you know that?
They've said I've never, they like it, but they've never physically liked it and stuff. They're like, I just don't do that on Instagram. They use the platform differently, which is funny as well. For me, it's like, it's even if there's hate comments coming in, I know there's people out there that are liking it still.
Okay. Can like, how with that message you got today, that was a hate one, right?
Yeah.
I read it quickly.
Yeah.
Does that attach to you? Is that something that you feel, or?
So no, basically. But at times, I mean, I think fuck the haters. Obviously, you know what I mean. Like, you can't let that attach to you. Right. You can't let that get to you. But I mean, I'm a human just like anybody else, and sometimes if someone leaves a comment like this, like, it's fun, for me it's really funny. So this comment, for example, said like, I should get an operation on my mouth because it's disgusting. And I was like, wow, that's such a crazy...
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's such a crazy insult, and it comes out of nowhere. Like, people have insulted me for things in my life, but not over my mouth. I was like, okay, interesting. So anyway, so that was quite funny to me. But there's something sometimes where if people go like, that's personal, but like so insignificant that I don't care, and I find it funny, and like I see that person, I think something's wrong with you if you're getting this angry at somebody online. Like, I feel sorry for them more than anything. It's not like I'm like losing any sleep over them. But there's sometimes which I stopped actually making the time versus money video. I made a few videos on that with that in mind, because people really react strongly to it, and I was like, okay, let's explore this and see what I was trying to make videos kind of responding to comments, and you eventually, and that was kind of getting in my head a bit, and eventually you got to realize, let that shit go. Like,
Let it go.
you let that shit go, because you're never going to convince these like random people on the internet. And if you do convince one of them, it's like a hydra, you chop off one of them and 10 more grow anyway. So like, it's okay to have a difference in opinion, and I in fact welcome differences in opinion. And if someone's leaving me hate comments, or if someone's disagreeing with me, that's all comments, baby. It's all engagement. They're doing me a favor.
A person attending one of your events,
Yeah.
what do you hope they get out of it? What feeling or what state of mind do they go home with for you to be a success?
So the most wholesome feeling of happiness I ever got from one of our events, because we have events all the time, as you know, and a lot of the time, like, people have great times at our events. That's just true, and you meet like-minded people. But for me, what I like are the smaller events, right? So speed dating is like 34-ish people, more or less. And seeing the progression of people often come to speed dating alone. They don't bring their friends. They come alone. The guys specifically sometimes come a little bit nervous. You know, they might be a little bit shy. They might think there's a lot of pressure on them at the time or something like that. And I love seeing the progression when they come in compared to when they leave, because it's like they're completely different people. They're smiling ear to ear. They're like thanking me that they're saying they've had a good night. But I mean, really, they don't have to thank me. You know what I mean? It's like they're doing the work. They're coming here. They're putting the time. They're meeting people and stuff. That's what makes me happy, seeing the change in people over an event, because you could even be forgiven for seeing these people and being like, oh, they're like, maybe they're like, they're shy, like they're not going to have anything to give to the conversation, you know. But just being at the event and the way they interact with other people brings their I like to think it's their true selves out of them. It brings their confidence. I think you're more when you're more confident, you're more true to yourself, right? When you're shy, you kind of paralyzes you a little bit. When you're confident, you say what you want to say, and you engage in the way you want to engage. And so I love the fact that the other people at our events and the events that we curate can do that to people and can bring them out of their shell in that way.
I don't exaggerate if I say that your community and your events changed my life.
Really? Wow. It's crazy.
I could say a lot of things here to make you happy because you're on my podcast. But literally, besides from my colleagues and my local barista, all the people I know, all my friends in Madrid are from your events, are from your community.
It's amazing.
That's I would actually go as far as say that is the cure to everything that I feared about moving abroad, moving away from my people, my family, my friends, everything. Because when I was living in Denmark and I was imagining a life in Spain, one of the things I feared was like being alone, because when you haven't done it yet, you cannot see what you get. Right, you know, it doesn't make sense. We cannot force it. We can have a positive attitude towards life and say you'll be fine. You'll meet people, but all this just to say, if somebody is watching, listening to this, and they wonder what it feels like to go to your event, I would say I think I've been to 6 events, and we did the Camino together, and I would say. The feeling of checking into a nice hostel with really cool people, where everybody's just like, hey man, how is it going? Even though you don't know people, it's just like we are all in the same boat, and you know, let's have a vibe while we are here. That's why we're here. So in this moment, right now, while we're here, let's have a blast and enjoy ourselves.
When you first told me that, I really liked that comparison of like, because that hostel feeling. I remember talking to my friend that I travelled with, that I spoke about before, that we did Asia and we did Australia together, and I remember saying to him, like, do you think that like it's crazy how open people are? Do you think we'll be this like kind and outgoing when we leave this hostile environment? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, I don't know either. And it turns out no, like when you go back to the normal world, people aren't just like that, but in the hostel there is something about that environment, and it's amazing. And I'm happy that you feel that about our events. Super cool, so thank you.
And I have to say that it's if I was sitting in Copenhagen now, and dreaming about moving to Spain and knowing you were here with Guiris de Mierda and the whole, it would make it a lot mentally easier.
Nice.
Because then you kind of, I feel like if you just show up and you're yourself, it's almost a guarantee to meet some like-minded people.
For sure.
I remember I was at this event with, what was it? I think at a lot of your events there's a competition about t-shirts, right? So that's not a unique thing.
We always do. Yeah, we always do.
Okay,
Well, not
anyway,
always, but a lot.
I don't remember the title of it. I was at this event of yours.
Yeah.
And I come in and I see people being a bit in groups, and I'm like, oh, a bit. Hey.
Yeah.
How are you? I'm Sylvester.
Sure.
From the outside.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, I'm in the middle of the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying this for my ego. I'm just saying, like, I'm good, and feel like I have good people around me. Okay. Then a new person comes in that could be me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and I see that he has the exact same
Yeah.
face as I had when
That's
I came in, and I was just like, hey, I've just been here for 5 minutes. Come join the conversation, right?
Yeah. That's great. But that's why we need people like you as well at the events, because there are some people. I always tell people, the more you come in, the more you put yourself out there, and the more you try and get from it, and the more you open up, the more you'll gain. But obviously some people are more introverted, some people are more shy, but there's people like you at our events who are like perfect, because you speak to everybody, you're super outgoing, you're inclusive, you'll like bring people into conversations and stuff, and there's a fair few of like the regulars that come to our events that I think are like key members of the community for doing that sort of stuff.
Thank you.
No problem.
Time is running, but I want to talk a bit about your life.
Yeah.
In your personal life, like not your personal life, but
we can go personal. We can go deep.
Right. I know you're a busy man. I know you have a lot of going on. Do you feel happy these days?
Interesting question. Yes, I feel happy, and actually I'm going to post a video about this week. In fact, we spoke about this on the Camino as well. It's like, what is happiness? It's very fleeting, and it's not a feeling that you can hold. It's like sand, right? It'll slide through your fingers. You've got to figure out what is happiness for you. And for me, I haven't completely mastered it, of course, but I know a part of it is like building towards something, and I have to be challenging myself, and I have to be problem solving. So doing this business right now is making me happy, because I'm constantly problem solving. I'm constantly doing. I'm trying to think of the next event. I'm meeting people who maybe have a venue or they have a concept for an event. Okay, now I've got a problem of like, there's only one of me. Can I get more of me? You know what I mean? I'm introducing the idea of the Guiri hosts. Maybe it's something we can franchise. I'm figuring this out.
Which is other people from the community like me who could be a host.
Yeah.
So
it's people exactly like yourself who could come to that come to the events, that already know a little bit about how we work, and that have seen events as well, and that could potentially host their own events. And like we've wrote the playbook for the events for the most of them. This is what happens at speed dating. This is what happens at an after work beers and Jenga tournament. This is what happens at we're starting like new structures all the time. Content. This is what happens at the content club. This is what happens at the rooftop sunset after work. You know, like we have different formats to our events, and we formalize those formats now. So it's a case of how can we remove me from them. I would probably still go to a lot of them, don't get me wrong, but how can we remove me from doing all the work at all of the events, so I could just go to the events, dip in, dip out, like as a customer would, as somebody that's coming as a community member, so I can be more relaxed, so I can kind of like be more playful at my own events, rather than being like, okay, first hour is checking everybody in, bam, 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 giving everyone the code, telling everybody what everything's about. Second hour is I'm doing the speech, and then all that, you know what I mean? And then it's like already 2 hours in, and then I can start to slow down, and that's when I start to really enjoy the event. But we're already halfway through the event at that point, so it's like, okay, I'm trying to figure out, but this is, so back to your question, this is what's making me happy, figuring out these, okay, we've got this problem XYZ, we've got these problems, how do we solve them? And so Yes, I think generally I'm happy, but generally I've always been a happy person. And when I haven't been happy, I took the best advice from my dad that he ever gave me was like, he told me about work in a work context. He's like, when I didn't like a job, I just quit it. And then I found something else, and it wasn't that deep. The world never changed. The world kept on spinning. You know what I mean? And so I've tried to take that philosophy into a lot of things in my life. And it's like, if I don't like something, just fucking stop it. You know, if I don't like something, it's not for me anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. So that was not just with work, but I'm doing it with. I'm trying to. I mean, it's always a battle, of course, but I'm trying to have that mentality in my life of. If things aren't making me happy, try and throw them out. So, am I happy? It's a question, and some days yes, some days no. But overall, I'm a pretty happy person, I think. And people make me happy, which is good when I'm in events. They charge me up.
Right. I like this mental modeling of. It's from if you happen to watch this and you understand Danish, it's from a Danish philosopher called Morten Albæk. He actually wrote the book in English as well. It's called One Human. Anyway, he has this mental modeling where he talks about that we are lost in satisfaction, happiness, and meaningfulness. So we are like satisfaction is like I want water, I get water, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
Happiness is like he called it an existentialism orgasm, like when everything in life just goes up in a higher sense, and by definition it's momentarily. It cannot be permanent. But we often, in our vocabulary, in our language, we talk about happiness as something we can strive towards being permanently. And then on the last one is meaningfulness, which is like the feeling that there is a sense of connection from what you've been through, where you are right now, and the future you're going towards. Yeah. Meaning, with satisfaction, like you can lose, you can be unsatisfied. With happiness as well, you can also be unhappy, you can lose. But meaningfulness, on the other hand, can be a more permanent state of mind. It can be a more like you can go through super a funeral is far away from satisfying or happy, but it's very meaningful to say goodbye in a good way to people you care about. So I like personally to have this mental modeling when I go through tough days, and it sounds like you're also on this path of meaningfulness. But of course there are days that are really tough and busy. Yeah,
there are days that are tough. There are days where I think, fuck, I don't want to go to this event. But then this is what my my video is going to be about this week. I'm writing a video, and it's like in those moments, and it's kind of what we touched on earlier off camera before the podcast started. It's like in those moments, I'm like, no, I don't have to do this. I get to do this. I built this, and I fucking get to do it. So I'm going to stop being a little bitch, and I'm going to fucking do it. You know what I mean? And I'm going to charge myself up because this is a great life I'm living right now, and I built it.
Yes. Love that mentality. If God gave you one more hour in the day, you are uniquely chosen. The new Jesus. You get one more hour in the day. How would you spend that?
What's everybody else doing during that hour? That's what I'd like to know. Are they frozen? Because, I mean, there could be some weird shit that goes on.
They're frozen.
Okay, they're frozen. Fuck, okay. Well, I'll give you the PC answer. I mean, you're going to be... I'm not going to say it. If everybody's frozen, I guess you've got to be going to those... I'm a curious person, naturally. So you've got to be going to those areas that you're normally not allowed in. I'm talking like, I want to be in the bank safe. You know what I mean? If I can be in the bank safe, I'd be in the bank safe. Like, looking through like what's in the... I mean, maybe I couldn't even get into the lock boxes, but if I could get into those lock boxes, what's in the lock boxes? I'd be at like the rooftop that you're not allowed to go to in Madrid. You know what I mean? I'd be at these exclusive places. I'd see the things that you're not supposed to see. Yes. I think that would be that's how I'd spend that hour.
If I said
fucking around.
If I am inspired by the great Danko, if I said you could choose between health, wealth, relationships, or happiness. What area of your life would you invest that hour in? Would you do more business? Would you do more care more, go to the gym, or would you?
I'd like to think I would do health. Okay. I'd invest in my health. But my health is one of those things at the moment. It's one of the if you look at if you're talking about video games and you have your character strength attributes and stuff, the health is the one for me that is probably like not amazing at the moment. Like I'm doing lots of events, I'm trying not to drink a lot, but I end up just naturally like drinking a few times a week, which does tend to have a bit of an impact on like, I mean, we do healthy events as well. We do yoga every week and we do run clubs, and I do these. But like, I used to be jiu-jitsu 3 times a week in like good shape. Like, I don't mean shape as in physical shape. I mean like my heart was beating good, and I had like good cardio, and like I was leaving sweating the jiu-jitsu gym 3 times a week. And my jiu-jitsu has been the thing that's kind of fallen off a little bit because I've also got an injury as well that I need to have an operation for. So I'd like to think that if I had that extra hour, maybe I could put it into my health.
Good.
But I should do that anyway. I need to find the time to do that, and it's one of those things that I hate, because I hate when people say, I need to do this, and never do it. And I'm doing that a little bit with jiu-jitsu, so I need to just fucking knock it out.
Being in your community, being around a lot of really cool people, but also being around a lot of people that admire you and actually look up to you. I would like to ask, who do you look up to?
The person that comes to my mind straight away is my dad, for
Yeah?
sure. Yeah, my dad. I mean, I listen to loads of podcasts and stuff like that, and like I listen to a lot of other content creators. I don't know if I'm inspired by them, but I don't look up to them. You know what I mean? Like, I think in this world, you've got to be looking at those guys, especially like in any career, I guess. You got to be looking at those guys like on a level like, I'm going to be that. It's just a time in the game versus, you know what I mean? The longer I'm in the game, I know the trajectory that I'm on. I'm on path for greatness as well. But the person that I look up to, is my dad. He's given me all my best life lessons, and he's taught them me himself with his own hands. You know what I mean? Like and his own mind or whatever. Like, it sounds weird with his own hands. He's taught me all my best life lessons. Like, there's just countless stories. Like, I've wanted to go and get a video game at midnight when it was released, and he told me, look, we can go and get that video game, but he's like, but I'm not driving you. If you want to get that video game when it's released at midnight, we're getting on our bikes and we're driving like an hour there. We're riding our bikes an hour there and an hour back. And I just didn't understand it at the time. I was like, Dad, why would you make me do that? Like, I just don't want to do that. I'm not interested in doing that. I almost hated him for it at the time. My dad was always a bit of a hard ass. But he was showing me, like, if you want something really bad, you got to work for it. That's what he was showing me. And like, I don't think he even told me that at the time, but like, such a good lesson. And like, there's loads of those that he's told me in my life. There's loads of those that he's taught me, he's shown me, rather than just told me. And like, he didn't want to go and ride an hour on the fucking bike either, you know what I mean? And go and get this video game that he'll never play, just for me. I'm the one getting the reward out of that, and my dad just is doing that to teach me a life lesson. So that's the person that I look up to.
To me, when I look at you, and especially when I look at your journey with Guiris de Mierda and your content creation, you are kind of the guy you not figure it all out, but you figure out a lot. What is something you're insecure about?
By the way, I have not figured it all out. I'm fucking every day. I'm just like, oh God, like I feel like there's new problems, and every day I feel like there's so much. I look at other people and think like, fucking hell, like they've got something figured out that I don't have figured out. Or I look at my business and think, this business isn't good because of X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? Like, I need to do a new business or whatever. So firstly, I haven't got things figured out. And then secondly, I think I don't have some of my personal relationships in my life figured out. I think that I'm somebody who definitely, I've got selfish tendencies, and I think that's why I've been successful. I've been successful with the community and stuff, because I can be all in on this one thing and zone everything else out, and that's a good outcome of me having these selfish tendencies. But there's lots of obviously bad outcomes of having selfish tendencies. Like, I think my personal relationships suffer, not with just friends, but also with like lovers, girlfriends, that sort of stuff as well. I think I can suffer there a little bit from being, I mean, I'm not like a completely selfish person, but I have selfish tendencies. So something I don't have figured out is probably how I manage my personal relationships.
Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
It's getting dark, and I think I hope the video is still okay.
Me too.
We will see. I didn't turn off on the blitz. Anyway, I would like to ask you, where do you see yourself in 2 years from now?
In 2 years from now, I want to be at a point where yeah, I probably should have known you were going to ask this question based on the name of the podcast. 2 years from now, see the two. I'm going to give you a bit of a not a crazy answer, but my answer is going to be like I'll give you the answer you're looking for, but I'm going to tell you like a bit of a. We're going to go a funny way. I'm not going to go to the direct way. So like 2 years from now is almost like the antithesis of my personal philosophy, right? I told you earlier on that my personal philosophy is one step at a time. I'm not looking 2 years from now, but saying that, I have ideas of like what a beautiful life is, and for me, a beautiful life would be able to would involve me being able to take my backpack and just go and do something like the Camino de Santiago, or go and do something like walk in the opposite direction, or just explore on my own time. I haven't got to do shit for nobody. Nobody needs me for anything. Total freedom. No one's calling me being like, Tom, we need to do this. So I'd love to get the business set up to a point where it runs itself. And obviously, I mean, I want to be involved in it, but I want the option of being like, I want to go and walk. A big goal of mine is to walk the length of Spain. And this is something that I really want to do. And I want to be able to do that and do it with a peaceful mind.
Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
I love this episode for both the part of moving to Spain, moving out of your comfort zone, but especially also the whole conversation about Guiris de Mierda and content creation and entrepreneurship. So thank you so much for sharing.
Oh man, thank you for having me on.
Thank you.